Welcome to another episode of Drive Time with Hagerty. We're going to talk here about a half hour with different car topics. I am joined, as usual, by Robert Sass. Rob Sass.
Hi, Matt. It's like Robert Sass. Who the hell is that?
I see that in your byline sometimes.
Never. I never go by Robert.
Yeah, okay. And Stefan Lombard, our
Greetings.
our intrepid West Coaster.
Greetings from sunny, balmy Portland, Oregon.
He literally means that, too. It's like 60 and sunny there, isn't it?
Yeah, has been for a week. It's supposed to be for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, well, screw you.
Yeah, this is the wrong crowd. We're in Michigan right now. It is currently snowing. We can look right out the window here. And it's also in the teens. I think we've got to be up into...
I don't think we're in the
14,
teens. I think
15?
I think we're still in the single digits.
Yeah.
Through the weekend. I think the high on Friday is supposed to be like -3.
Yeah.
Can you even call that a high? I mean, seriously.
It's a low high.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a low high. So
I think, frankly, you got to be high to live here right now. But
it's trying. You got to have the right kind of car, that's for sure.
Which you do.
I do. My toy.
Yes.
The Evo. First up, and
What kind of car do you have to have in Paris?
Friggin' new one at this point.
A new car, it would appear. The mayor of Paris has been putting forth an effort to ban, for smog purposes, and I've got the list here, passenger cars registered before 31st of December 96, vans and light trucks before 30th of September 97, coaches, buses, and trucks before 30th of September 2001, and two-wheeled motorized vehicles prior to 2000.
Now, what the hell is up with that? I mean, I'm not a bike expert, but none of them have pollution controls. So what's the difference? Old bike, new bike,
and
it's just to be spiteful?
I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to target like the end of the carburetor on motorcycles, but even so, I'm pretty sure there's little motor scooters and stuff that this would apply to that still run carbureted systems and are no more pollutant or less pollutant than the stuff that was put out in 1980.
Yeah, well, that's really sad. But I have to say that what's going to happen to Retromobile next year, the big car show, the classic car show in Paris in February. I mean, some of those cars are actually driven to the show.
Yeah, it's hard to say. A logical approach would be to have yes, during Retromobile the ban is lifted. Whether the government takes a logical approach is a whole different ball of wax.
So is the ban on people who live within the city limits owning cars like that, or driving them through Paris?
Driving them into Paris.
Interesting.
You cannot operate a motor vehicle of that vintage in the city limits of Paris. And Rob, you've been to Paris. You know better than I do. There's essentially a road that circles it.
Yeah, it's the ring road, the Boulevard Parafrique. And from what I understand, you can't drive an old car inside the Boulevard Parafrique, inside the ring road. So, that's pretty amazing.
And it did anger a number of motorcyclists. Last week, supposedly thousands of motorcyclists drove the streets of Paris in protest of the proposed law.
Yeah, are you going to say the name of the group?
I've seen two translations, one of which I'll say them both, I don't care. One of them is the French Federation of Angry Motorcyclists, and one of them is the French Federation of Pissed Off Bikers.
Yeah, for any francophones that might be listening to this, I'll butcher this, and maybe somebody can weigh in with what this actually means.
Absolutely.
And if it's something incredibly obscene in French, well, I apologize in advance.
Yes.
My junior high school French isn't all that good. It's Fédération Française des Motards en Colère, whatever that means.
Yes, loosely they're angry bikers in France.
Yeah, okay. Well, whatever.
Yeah, but, it looked like a really cool scene. They drove it, through the scenic, the tourist spots, the big roads, and it was curb-to-curb motorcycles.
Wow.
Now, this isn't the first time this kind of legislation has been proposed, though, is it?
Rob, you were talking to a friend of yours who had lived in France, and basically this has been something that they've been wanting to do for a while.
Yeah, it had come up before, and I didn't realize this because I've really never found Paris to be necessarily that air polluted of a city. I mean, it doesn't look like when you go to the top of some of the monuments, like the Arc de Triomphe, and you look down, it's not like L.A., you know, where you see this sort of brown cloud hanging over Paris. So, I mean, I never really thought it was that air challenged of a city, but apparently it is. But the fact of the matter is, in recent years, you've been seeing far and far fewer old cars inside of Paris anyway. I mean, you know, big cities are not kind to old cars as it is. But I really was surprised, though, to see so few Citroën DSs, you know, Citroën 2CVs, Renault R5s. I mean, they all really seem to have been, you know, they seem to have gone elsewhere.
Been weeded out.
Yeah, sort of weeded out. And you know, I will say that you know, God love the French. They're the only people on the planet who still buy French cars. I mean, you do get to see a lot of new Peugeots, Citroëns, and Renaults that you don't really see anyplace else.
And I love the rampant lion badge. You know, it's a great looking emblem.
Yeah.
And so,
I guess one question I have is, say this ban takes effect, what's going to happen to all those cars? Where are they going to go?
Donald Osborne's garage.
Right. There's going to be a fire sale. No, my guess would be you're going to have to store them outside the city limits.
Yeah.
And you can't drive them in the city limits, you know.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is the good cars are going to find homes. I mean, this really is going to be like, you know, the end of you know, your 25-year-old Renault Twingos or something like that, you know, or Fiat Pandas and, you know, really sort of garbage like that you know, really isn't even fit for pizza delivery.
Yeah, you know.
But actually, this might be a boon for pizza delivery people outside of the city limits of Paris. You know, pick up. In fact, those are the people that are probably really going to benefit from this. Is you know, the guys who can now buy, you know, like a 1994 Fiat Panda for, you know, 200 euros or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you know, there's talks of, with this ban, giving some fairly generous credits towards buying newer electric vehicles. So,
la-di-da.
Yeah, but I mean, for the person who's can't afford another car and does have the banned list car, and it's their transportation, at least they're trying.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, though, with Paris, and this really that you know, makes me wonder is, you really don't need a car there. I mean, you really don't. I mean, the public transportation is really good. I mean, I think it's better than New York. It's better than London. You know, I don't know that if I lived inside the city limits,
you would have much more than a pleasure car.
Yeah, you know, it's just, you know, and the way people park is just absolutely insane. I mean, to see, you know, like a smart car, you know, parked up on a curb, you know, with its back end facing the sidewalk or something is really pretty amazing.
Yeah, I could never see you without a car, even if you lived there, though.
Yeah, pry it out of my cold, dead hand.
Right, which, even though we haven't listed this, I understand you bought a car, Rob.
Oh, okay. You had to.
I've had to bring it in. You've been telling everybody.
Oh man, yeah. The dead of winter. I mean, if you could see what's going on in front of us here, it's like, I did.
And
what?
What did you get, Rob?
I bought a Datsun 240Z.
Nice.
I think this is the crowd that probably approves of that.
That sounds like a great dead of winter car.
It is a great dead of winter car, and it's a great car to have in Michigan too. You know, because it's a car that pretty much, you know, told Detroit that these Japanese, they're pretty serious.
Right. You might want to take them seriously.
Yeah, you might, Lee Iacocca, you might want to stop boasting that you're going to push him back into the Pacific.
Right.
That car.
It was a well-priced car.
It was an extremely well-priced car.
Really good-looking car.
Yeah, it pretty much, you could say, was the death of a lot of British sports cars and you know, a lot of Italian sports cars. I mean, it was a car that looked like an E-Type, went about as well as an E-Type or a Porsche 911T, but was priced at about $3,600 when those cars were well over $7,000. there were waiting lists. People paid over lists. Dealers came up with very, very clever ways of gouging and charging well over the list price for them. And it was kind of a phenomenon in the early 1970s. And most of them are gone at this point.
And I'm just excited that there's a chance now that I'm going to drive Rob's in the summer.
They're actually pretty fun. Some of the things you'll notice that are, will certainly be off-putting is the fact that you can see why they were able to build them to that price, because there's really nothing expensive feeling about a 240Z.
Yeah.
But they go nicely and they look really good.
Hey, can't ask for much more. I don't need a lot of fluff when I drive. So, next, let's talk about, and Rob, you brought this to my attention, it is 50 years since the book that killed the Corvair came out.
Unsafe at Any Speed, written in 1965.
Yeah, and oddly enough, we're now at an all-time high for Corvair.
Isn't that, it's that there's irony. It is pretty funny, and it was one of those things where it's sort of been noticing Corvairs creeping up in price, and I don't think it has anything to do with the 50th anniversary, but it sure is funny.
It is.
It really is that 50 years after the book that just absolutely slayed the Corvair. Not really fairly. I mean, and the fact of the matter is, the book wasn't really just about Corvairs. I mean, it was about Detroit's, at least what Nader perceived to be Detroit's sort of casual approach to safety in the 50s and 60s, and the Corvair was part of a chapter or two.
Well, yeah, and it was definitely a save a penny good enough approach.
Yeah. Who needs that anti-sway bar and that camber compensator?
Good enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody's going to drive their Corvair Lakewood station wagon that fast into a corner anyway.
Right. And what's funny is the Highway Safety Patrol then did commission a study later on that showed actually it wasn't that unsafe compared to similar vehicles.
It really was. And swing axle rear suspension was used by Volkswagen, by Triumph, by Mercedes-Benz. I think GM just made a big, fat, tasty target for, a young lawyer who was looking to make a name for himself.
And he did.
He did. Yes.
And I actually, in the course of filming that Generation Gap show, did get to drive a Corvair Mazda.
I've never actually driven one. What was it like?
It is certainly the weight shift in corners is something to get used to. I'm not saying it's unsafe, but I could see there being a bit of a pendulum effect. You've got weight well past the rear axle where you normally wouldn't have it, and especially on slippery roads. I was a bright, sunny, clean day.
Yeah,
you could have it kick out on you, but it's just one of those things that I think is going by the wayside nowadays, especially is learn your car and drive it safely.
Going by the wayside, certainly an understanding of basic physics. I mean,
right.
Look, Porsche 911s are the same way. If you don't respect the physics and the dynamics of the car, and you carry way too much speed into a corner, and you lift off the throttle, or worse, hit the brakes, you're going to spin. That's just the way it is. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, it's we used to say about Porsche, 911 turbo drivers, two kinds of 930 drivers, the people who've spun and the people who are going to spin.
Right.
It's just, be mindful of the dynamics of the situation.
But in the grand scheme of things, I mean, that car that I drove anyways did not have the power to really put itself sideways without really wanting to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't frightening to drive. I took it through some curves, and it was a different feeling the way the weight transferred, but it wasn't alarming ever. It was just, that's different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that when the car was redesigned in 1965, they gave it a fully independent rear suspension, and they changed the styling. And the fact of the matter is, David E. Davis Jr., when he was writing for Car and Driver, said this is probably one of the best cars that's ever been built in America. And they look great. They go well. They have an appeal to import fans. The bow tie people aren't all that crazy about them a lot, but I think there is a lot going for the Corvair. I would own a Corvair in a heartbeat. I think they're really cool.
There is definitely a cult following to it.
Yeah, definitely.
They're way much wider accepted than a lot of cult following cars, but They are nice looking.
They are. I mean, I really think the 65 to 69 Corvair is really, really pretty. Stefan, what do you think?
I think they're gorgeous cars. Yeah, there really is nothing else like them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never driven one, but I know the people who own them are rabid about them, more so than owners of lots of other cars. I mean, Corvair owners are passionate people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is sort of the they kind of feel like they are forever defending their car against this stigma that Ralph Nader created. But they're really interesting cars, and I'm glad to see that in a certain way the ones that have lasted have overcome that Nader's label, and people appreciate them for what they are, and values are climbing, and they're recognized as good cars, actually.
Yeah, the joke during us filming that episode, we had a Corvair and a Fiero, which I thought was a very fitting match for Cult Classics, is in the garage he kept putting fire extinguishers near the cars. But, again, something that was blown out of the proportion was that Fiero catching on fire. It was such a low percentage of them. And yeah, it's probably
but all it takes
than
is like for one or two to catch on fire, and the word gets around. I mean,
right?
You know, it's your car catching on fire.
Nobody does.
But I mean, it was a good match. I mean, two cars that have never been done again in the U.S. is so that a mid-engine two-seater, and the rear-engine air-cooled car. They're both kind of both unique. And both really interesting cars.
And they both have, as Stefan put it, a rabid following. So, just so passionate from both ends of the Fiero and the Corvair.
Rabid is kind of a good characterization. I mean, the one thing I've noticed with Corvair fans and Pantera fans, oddly enough, is they are both really, really sensitive. Mm-hmm. I mean, we will get Corvair people who will absolutely crap all over us for what we're saying about Corvairs right now. And we like them. We're saying good stuff about them.
Right.
But, same thing with Panteras. It's like, if you sort of bring up the fact that the first Panteras that were imported were really not very well screwed together, and they actually had to be sent back to a special place to be...
tightened?
Well, yeah, I mean, to be actually made to work as automobiles. I mean, you'll have Pantera people just absolutely up in arms. It's like, we like them. They're really cool. It's essentially like a GT40 that costs a fraction of what a GT40 costs, but they're human. They have their foibles and their issues like anything else. I mean, same thing with Corvairs. Is no car is perfect, but man, they're a touchy set of owners.
Yeah, and with the Pantera, I love seeing those things out.
I do too.
I think that they're just absolute head turners,
and we all miss the boat on those because there used to be $25,000 and $35,000 Panteras that weren't rust buckets and weren't horribly modified or something. That those cars are all gone. I think you're looking at 55 to 60 now is the price of entry to a Pantera, and
I would not be surprised in any way, shape, and form to see those go above 100.
They should have been there ages ago.
Yeah, and the last one I remember seeing was a full modified engine. Yeah. And it was evident. There were slight hints on the outside, but as soon as you saw that engine, you knew that it was well done, but it was not stock.
Yeah, and finding a non-modified Pantera is really hard.
It's about like finding a non-modified Supra.
There you go. Yeah.
There was actually at the Hagerty cocktail party, there was that black one parked out front, which I believe was completely stock.
That was a nice looking car.
It's a great car. Yeah. And it was neat to see it parked next to the Mustang, both of which share the same engine.
Yep.
And and I've always known that they had the same engine in them, but to see them side by side and just sort of compare the packaging was pretty interesting.
Well, and it makes you wonder if a lot of those body designers looked at that thing and went, what are we doing? Because for its time frame, it's, the year, it was so much better looking than so many cars out there. and then they throw a Ford powertrain in it, and, you know.
Yeah. Well, look. It was a really great idea. An Italian exotic with a Ford 351 that you can find parts and maintenance for anyplace else. Just don't chip a tooth on the ZF 5-speed transaxle.
Right.
There's that.
Yeah, but it's still cheaper than a Ferrari.
True.
In every way, shape, and form.
Good point.
Yeah. So, yeah, great stuff. I think we're pretty well set. You got to get out and start driving there, Stefan.
I do.
Get those wheels on the Volvo.
Thursday.
I expect to see pictures.
Well, I saw the pictures of the wheels.
Yeah.
Did a really nice job.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's exciting.
And the springs are on it?
Springs are on it. Yep. So I'm taking the wheels and the tires to a place to get them mounted on Thursday, and I'm doing a solo trip to the coast in early March.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. So I will. I'm just going to sort of have a place I'm going to stay at the coast, and I'm probably do day trips on the roads around there.
Where are you headed?
Lincoln City.
Ah, okay.
My wife's 4 women from my wife's family are coming to town, and I'm getting the heck out of here.
That's an excellent plan. Jump in the car and go.
Hey, having done that trip once or twice, I can tell you that if you go through a little town called Otis, Oregon, absolutely the best roadside eatery on the planet is there. The Otis Bakery and Cafe. It's freaking amazing.
Good to know.
It looks like nothing, but if you're hungry and you're going through Otis, Oregon, stop there.
Good to know.
That's the place. All right. Well, we've got at least one event coming up. It's about a month away, but the Amelia Island Concours is coming up, and we've got plenty of plans for that and lots of fun things happening. And it sounds like Stefan will be road tripping while we're going down to Florida.
Yes.
So terrific. Thanks as always for joining me here, Stefan, Rob.
Thanks, Matt.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
It's just a dark country road.